I mean, I'm sure she sucks, but she is very young.
And that people think I'm doing poorly.
And then it became like, I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part.
Is to be that bitch.
I'm a narcissist.
And they decided to cast Rachel Zegler. Again, you can cast people however you want to cast people. I really don't care.
A lot of people don't like her.
It's only making matters worse.
Far from what you would think Disney wanted.
I think Rachel Zegler was miscast. I'm not trying to be shady, but when you...
Framing this as people not wanting her to win?
And I don't think I'm doing it at all.
Oh boy. Okay, she's getting emotional in this clip.
Imagine a rising star, poised for greatness, suddenly sparking a firestorm that could burn her career to the ground. Rachel Zegler, the actress who dazzled in West Side Story, has always danced on the edge of controversy. But her latest move in a West End production of Evita has left jaws on the floor. Insiders claim she didn't just suggest a casting change. She demanded a male co-star be replaced with a trans actor, shaking the theater world to its core. This isn't just a backstage spat. It's a clash over culture, history, and who gets to rewrite the stories we hold dear.
You get some young girl and you don't...
Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
But you don't seemingly like your own character.
Actual physical description of the part. Not my fault it's written that way.
Rachel Zegler on the docket is she's an asshole.
The trouble, am I right? You can't check in. You're not an adult.
That's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. And mainly because of her.
Man-hating.
She's not going to be safe for the prince.
Nasty, nasty. The last part, her words. Who single-handedly actually annoyed everyone so bad they skipped this mess. Well played.
From Argentina's outrage to Hollywood's whispers, this saga is bigger than one musical. Stick around, because what unfolded behind the scenes might just redefine theater and Zegler's future forever. Let's start with the bombshell that set Evita ablaze. According to multiple sources, Zegler walked into rehearsals for the iconic musical about Eva Perón, Argentina's legendary First Lady, and dropped a demand that stunned producers.
It's obviously a very convoluted subject, and I'm not fully equipped to talk about all of the gritty details, what she sees in the world. And it's definitely not lost on her that her themes are very much prevalent in the world. And I'm really thankful that we get to kind of hold the mirror up to society and ask them those questions without necessarily force-feeding them an answer.
She reportedly insisted that one of the show's key male roles, either Juan Perón, the military leader and president, or Che, the revolutionary narrator who challenges Eva's rise, be recast with a trans actor. This wasn't a casual suggestion tossed out in a creative meeting. Insiders say it was an ultimatum, framed as a bold push for inclusivity in what Zegler called a post-binary generation. She allegedly argued that casting a cisgender man in such a pivotal role sends the wrong message in today's world, even suggesting rewrites to the script to deconstruct traditional gender dynamics. For a musical rooted in Argentina's turbulent history, this was no small request. It was a seismic shift that threatened to upend decades of theatrical tradition, and the fallout was immediate.
About feminism or her life or what she wants to do with her body. Be an actress, be young, be an ingenue in Hollywood. I don't understand what she's doing. The fastest way to tank your career, go out there and start running your mouth and trashing the original IP of the film you're in. Also, there's nothing wrong with wanting a man. Can we not have chivalry in this world anymore? There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what? I'd love for a man to come scoop me up and provide.
Behind the scenes, the Evita production descended into chaos. Picture a rehearsal room buzzing with tension as cast and crew grappled with Zegler's demand. Some team members were floored, unsure how to respond without risking their reputations in an industry that prizes inclusivity. One insider reportedly dubbed Zegler the showrunner without the title. Frustrated by her attempt to steer a production she was hired to perform in, not overhaul. Others whispered about feeling silenced, afraid to voice concerns for fear of being labeled close-minded. Rumors swirled that new script drafts were floated, with lines tweaked to reflect Zegler's vision of fluid power dynamics. But here's where it gets tricky.
In all of them, the precision that it takes to do what they do, to get notes on the daily and incorporate them immediately, it's like such an ensemble piece.
It's our last week here. I feel like Diego really became a man here.
I did. I grew out my facial hair. I'm still working on it.
I just put my blonde wig on for the first time, and I'm thinking about becoming a blonde. I'll show you a photo. And I'll show you a photo.
Together. Oh my God.
Wait, right?
Rachel.
It's wild.
Evita isn't just any show. It's a tightly licensed property, bound by agreements with the estate of Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice. Any major change risks legal battles or even cancellation. The production, once a shining beacon of the West End, was now teetering on a knife's edge. But the real storm was brewing far beyond the stage. Across the Atlantic, Argentina caught wind of Zegler's move, and the reaction was nothing short of volcanic. To Argentines, Eva Perón isn't just a character. She's a national icon, a polarizing yet revered figure whose legacy still shapes the country's politics, art, and identity. When reports surfaced that a Hollywood actress was pushing to reshape her story, outrage erupted.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have when I say that this has been the biggest adjustment of my life, like understanding the way my life operates now, being who I am, and the things that I've been so fortunate to make. It comes with so much ground that I never thought I would be able to cover, and that people think I'm doing poorly, and other people think I'm doing gracefully, and I don't think I'm doing it at all.
Local media outlets like Clarín and La Nación ran scathing editorials, accusing Zegler of cultural arrogance. A historian on Canal 13 argued that injecting 21st century gender politics into Evita distorts the complex dynamics of the Perón era, saying, "You don't rewrite history to make a point. You honor it by telling it truthfully." Some commentators went further, calling it cultural colonization, claiming Zegler was using a Latin American icon to push Western ideals. A viral post in Buenos Aires quipped, "First she trashed Snow White, now she's coming for Evita." What's next? Che Guevara as a TikTok influencer? The anger wasn't just about art, it was deeply personal, rooted in a sense of national pride. And it was about to spread like wildfire. Social media became the next battleground, amplifying the drama to dizzying heights. Within hours, X and TikTok were flooded with posts, some exaggerating the story to claim Zegler had fired her co-star outright. The narrative spiraled out of control, with hashtags like #ZeglerEvita and #SaveEvita trending. On one side, activists cheered her for championing trans representation, hailing her as a trailblazer in an industry slow to change. But even progressive voices raised eyebrows, questioning whether her demand was less about inclusion and more about grabbing headlines. Theater purists were downright livid. A prominent West End director took to X, writing, "You don't rewrite historical characters mid-rehearsal and call it progress. That's ego, plain and simple." Argentine fans piled on, with one columnist declaring, "Eva Perón's story isn't your sandbox, Rachel. It's our heritage." Petitions popped up online, some demanding the original male lead be restored, others calling for Zegler's removal from the show. Ticket sales became a roller coaster. Some nights sold out as curious theatergoers flocked to see the drama unfold, while others stalled as loyal fans requested refunds. But to understand why this hit so hard, we need to look at Zegler's track record. This isn't Zegler's first dance with controversy. She's practically choreographed a career out of it. Rewind to her breakout role in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. The film was a critical darling but a box office dud, grossing just $76 million against a $100 million budget, losing $120 million after marketing and ticket splits. Still, Spielberg loved her, recommending her for Disney's Snow White remake. That's where things got messy. During the press tour, Zegler didn't hold back, slamming the 1937 original as outdated, calling the prince creepy, and dismissing its romantic core. Fans were furious, accusing her of disrespecting a beloved classic. The backlash was brutal, and when Snow White hit theaters, it tanked, earning $200 million on a $270 million budget, a $250 million loss for Disney. Her recent Broadway stint in Romeo plus Juliet didn't help her case. Critics called it a lackluster attempt to woo Gen Z, with ticket sales lagging and reviews labeling it average at best. Whispers in the industry suggest Zegler's pattern: step into a classic, challenge its roots, and spark a firestorm is starting to wear thin. And the Evita saga feels like the loudest chapter yet. But let's rewind to Zegler's roots to understand how she got here. Before Hollywood came calling, she was a theater kid in New Jersey, posting covers on YouTube and landing roles in local productions like The Little Mermaid. Her raw talent caught Spielberg's eye, beating out 30,000 actresses for West Side Story. That moment should have been her launchpad to stardom, but somewhere along the way, she became a lightning rod. Some fans argue she's a product of her generation, Gen Z, outspoken, unafraid to challenge norms. Others say she's misreading the room, turning every role into a soapbox. Her Snow White comments, for instance, weren't just offhand remarks. They were a deliberate critique of a story millions grew up loving. She doubled down, framing the backlash as proof of society's resistance to strong, opinionated women. Supporters see her as a disruptor, shaking up an industry stuck in the past. Critics, though, see a pattern of dismantling beloved stories to fit a narrow worldview. And with Evita, she's not just tweaking a fairy tale, she's touching a real-life icon, and the stakes are higher than ever. The Evita controversy isn't just about one demand, it's about who gets to control a story. Evita isn't a blank canvas. It's a cultural monument, woven into Argentina's identity and the global theater canon. Juan Perón and Che aren't side characters. They're pillars of the narrative, representing power and rebellion in a story about class, charisma, and political upheaval. By pushing to recast one of them, Zegler wasn't just suggesting a fresh take. She was, in the eyes of many, rewriting history itself. Theater experts argue that Evita already grapples with complex gender dynamics. Eva's rise as a woman in a male-dominated world is central to the story. One critic asked, "Why impose modern gender politics on a show that's already a feminist masterpiece?" Others pointed out the practical risks. Altering a licensed production could breach contracts, invite lawsuits, or even shut the show down. For a cast and crew already stretched thin, Zegler's move felt like a grenade lobbed into a delicate ecosystem. And the ripples didn't stop at the stage door. The global theater community began to weigh in, turning a West End drama into an international debate. Directors and actors from Broadway to Buenos Aires shared their takes, many anonymously to avoid the social media mob. One London producer told a trade outlet, "Theater thrives on bold choices, but this feels like a power grab, not art." A New York casting director echoed the sentiment, saying, "Rachel's talented, but she's acting like she owns the script, not the role. Even some trans advocacy groups, while supportive of representation, expressed unease. An Argentine activist told Clarín, "We want visibility, but not by erasing the truth of Eva's era. Context matters." The debate spilled into academic circles, with theater scholars dissecting whether Zegler's push aligns with Evita's themes of disruption or undermines its historical core. Meanwhile, the production team faced a logistical nightmare: international media scrutiny, cultural diplomacy meetings, and pressure from watchdog groups guarding the show's legacy. What was meant to be a revival had become a diplomatic crisis. Back in the digital realm, the story kept mutating. Ex-users posted memes juxtaposing Zegler with Eva Perón, captioned, "When you think you're bigger than the icon you're playing." TikTok creators stitched reaction videos, some defending Zegler's boldness, others mocking her as out of touch. One viral clip featured a theater fan saying, "She's not wrong to push boundaries, but you don't rewrite Argentina's history to do it." The polarized reactions mirrored Zegler's career. Half see her as a visionary, half as a wrecking ball. And her silence didn't help. As the controversy raged, Zegler stayed quiet. No interviews, no tweets, no clarification. That void let speculation run wild, with some claiming she was dodging accountability, others saying she was letting the work speak for itself. Either way, her silence amplified the perception that she's more interested in making a statement than engaging with the communities her choices affect. Now, let's talk about the industry fallout, because this isn't just about one show. Hollywood and theater insiders are starting to see Zegler as a high-risk hire. A streaming executive reportedly said, "She has the potential to be the next big thing, but only if she learns to read the room. Right now, she walks in like she's rewriting the script." A Broadway veteran called her brilliant but exhausting, noting that every project she touches becomes a lightning rod. Casting directors are reportedly wary of attaching her to legacy properties, knowing the PR storm that follows. Some brands that once courted her for endorsements have hit pause, waiting to see if she can navigate this latest mess. Rumors even suggest that studios are rethinking her involvement in future projects, with one insider whispering, "She's one bad headline away from being uncastable." The irony? Zegler's talent is undeniable. Her voice, her presence, her raw charisma. But her knack for controversy might be outshining her gifts. What makes this saga so gripping is how it reflects bigger questions about art and power. Theater has always been a space for pushing boundaries, from casting against type to reimagining classics. But where's the line between innovation and overreach? Zegler's supporters argue she's forcing the industry to confront its biases, creating space for underrepresented voices. Her critics counter that she's hijacking stories that don't belong to her, using them as platforms for personal crusades. The Evita controversy brings this tension into sharp focus. Can an actor demand changes to a cultural cornerstone without alienating the very audience it's meant to serve? And what happens when those changes clash with the story's historical truth? These questions aren't just academic. They're shaking the foundations of an industry built on collaboration and trust. For Zegler, the stakes couldn't be higher. Her career trajectory reads like a roller coaster. A meteoric rise, followed by a string of flops and PR disasters. West Side Story was a critical win, but a financial loss. Snow White was a high-profile misfire, delayed to 2025 amid backlash. Romeo plus Juliet failed to spark with audiences. Now, Evita threatens to be her biggest gamble yet. Some fans argue she's being unfairly targeted, a young woman punished for speaking her mind in an industry that demands conformity. Others say she's miscalculated, picking fights with stories and audiences that don't bend to her will. One X post summed it up. Rachel Zegler's talent is huge, but her ego might be bigger. The question now isn't just about one casting decision, it's about whether she can keep landing major roles when every project becomes a battleground. So, where does Rachel Zegler go from here? The Evita scandal has turned a West End revival into a global flashpoint, igniting debates about art, culture, and who gets to shape the stories we tell. Argentina's fury, social media's chaos, and the industry's growing skepticism paint a picture of a star at a crossroads. Is she a visionary fighting for a more inclusive future, or a performer letting ideology overshadow her craft? The answer depends on who you ask, and whether Zegler can navigate the fallout without burning more bridges. One thing's certain, Evita isn't just a musical anymore. It's a symbol of a deeper struggle over whose voice matters most. What do you think? Is Zegler pushing for real change, or has she finally crossed a line she can't come back from? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit that subscribe button for more stories from the wild, unpredictable world of entertainment. Trust it to me, the next headline might be even bigger than this one.